disturbing ways animals can hunt you. I think we're seeing one right now. This, I got back from a business trip, and my wife, who was told to get no new animals, by the way.
That's Toby.
I guess you're not an animal. I guess you're not. No, you can't have the rabbit. No, you can't. So anyway, my wife brought home a cat, and then she promptly angered it beyond belief by giving it a bath.
It had fleas.
And then now she, yeah, it's just, this thing is, yeah, there it goes. Ow. Ow. There you go. Ways animals can hunt you, and it starts off with probably one of the most nope moments I've ever seen recorded on video. Warpugs, this is why I don't go around certain parts of the world. It's not because I don't like the people there, it's because I don't like the wildlife. I will stay out of situations like this because I don't want to be like this. And if you've never seen this video before, where have you been? And secondly, prepare, because this is a bit nerve-wracking, okay? This gives me the heebie-jeebies just watching it. Warpugs, Casual Geographic. You know he's one of my favorite people on this platform. All links are going to be in the description down below. Let's just jump right into this. And remember, YouTube is doing a thing, okay? YouTube is doing a thing. And so, if you would, just leave a comment down below, hit the like button. Let's get right into this. That is a nope and a half. Boog.
If you have nothing else to be grateful for,
yeah,
get on your knees and be glad that if you have 99 problems, avoiding predators ain't one. I hope. Otherwise, you should probably get off your knees. Predators have petrified
oh God.
us for as long as cavemen had consciousness, simply off the fact
Smart
that just
kid.
seeing one implies many others had to die. But for many, it's not what they can do to you, it's how, and these are the top 10 worst animals to be hypothetically hunted by, and spoiler, it gets a lot less hypothetical as the list goes on. The only rule is, I won't be talking about sea stars or crocodiles, only because I just made videos on both. Trust and believe they're both very qualified to be here, and if that disappoints you, here's a consolation prize.
Okay.
There's a lot of things to be afraid of being marooned on an island.
True.
Dehydration, exposure, but most don't consider being culled by crabs. And that's because, outside of remote islands in the Indian and Pacific Ocean, the coconut crab is only found in a very bad trip. Despite its name, coconuts are an insignificant part of a juiced up hermit crab's diet, but that didn't stop nature from equipping them with claws that can splice the fruit open. Besides, their street name is more lore accurate, as they're also called robber crabs, since they'll swarm your camp and carry off anything that ain't nailed down. The problem is, that's also how they hunt. In 2016, scientists watched as a coconut crab climbed a tree and attacked a sleeping bird, snapping its wings only to continue its death grip after they both fell on the ground. Within minutes, several other crabs spawned in and proceeded to shred the barely breathing bird for hours. The crawling antichrists are scavengers with bloodlust, so getting gored by one means you'll certainly be maimed by more, and the fact that they can climb and track blood means there's nowhere on the island you can go where the Krusty Krab crew won't find you. The crabs are any-can animals, as in anything can get it.
No.
Rats, cats, even full-grown pigs can get flesh stripped, but the most disturbing stories are those of coconut crabs eating humans. One gruesome account followed the 82-day Battle of Okinawa, where Japanese soldiers bore witness to hordes of giant spider-like crabs ravaging the bodies of their dead comrades. There's no real proof that this happened or that it even involved coconut offenders, but unfortunately, that's exactly how the crabs would have acted. Imagine a gang of armored cockroaches carrying the jaws of life, except the outcome of getting caught between them is quite the opposite. And with a diet of detritus, most coconut crabs are poisonous to eat, especially since many have the habit of eating sea mangoes, a fruit so toxic it has another name: the side apple. By far, the scariest theory, though, is that it was coconut crabs that perp-walked Amelia Earhart off the census.
Right.
Scary because whether she was past tense on arrival or incapacitated a plane crash would not have changed the response by the crabs. And while it's just a theory, the idea that someone's last moments could be spent desperately dragging their crippled body before an army of crabs brutally mutilates them for hours as their suffering only draws more is enough to earn them a spot on this list. And
that's just a horrible thought. That's just a horrible thought of how she could have gone out. And just, I don't ever want to find out that urban legend is reality.
Yet, they're only number 10.
Monkeys.
Most people aren't afraid of the dark, more so what could be in it. The last of
Speaking of which, where do they go? There we go. If you're afraid of the dark, war pugs, be sure to get yourself some Mothman flavored chips. I'm not kidding. The wife found these. I don't know if you guys saw this earlier, but yeah. Let's go.
phobia is that before the ocean.
Oh, hell no! Hell no!
People are afraid of the sky, probably because you should be able to see what's coming. That's why the Harpy eagle is number 9, because if this is your predator, you will never know peace. They're one of the biggest eagles on the planet, but what makes Harpies built different is that their wings are way shorter, which means the Harpy aimbot can chase you through the trees in a way no eagle ever should. Just imagine a homicidal hippogriff breaking into your house and snatching your little brother out of his bed. And now you understand the generational PTSD the monkeys on their meal prep carry. And those claws guarantee you don't get the chance to find out twice. The size of a grizzly bear's mitt with the grip force of a Rottweiler's jaws. You can actually hear the bones of their prey breaking as the Harpies crush the life out of them.
What?
It's safe to say, the same feet that can crack open an armadillo would not feel good to have gripping your skull.
No.
It is incredibly rare, but there are cases of Harpy eagles attacking and clawing humans, where the eagle's leg had to be amputated because even after death, the talons wouldn't release their grip. In 2023, tourists in French Guiana walked past a perching Harpy when it suddenly went for one of the women, plunging its claws into her scalp and leaving her with several deep lacerations. The concept of being jump scared by a plus-size prehistoric Freddy Krueger cockatoo spikes my cortisol, but they rarely go after humans, and when they do, the fault's usually the humans. The next animal not only punished a good deed of one man.
9 out of 10 times you hear of an animal going after a human, it's usually the human's fault, and the other 10% of that equation, 9% of that is once again the human's fault.
And it became one of the worst animal attacks in Brazilian history. Australia gets the reputation for being Satan's sandbox, but not enough people give credit to the sheer insanity of the Amazon. What's a jaguar's favorite exercise? Skull crushers.
Right.
Not to mention you have a Jurassic reject in anaconda, an animal that weaponizes electricity, and we all decided that was okay. And a fish that convinced thousands to never pee in a river. Yet the apex predator of the Amazon isn't actually a jaguar. To be fair, the giant river otter is also called the ariana.
Look at the face of that psycho. Man, I don't give a shit. No, I'm leaving.
Or the water jaguar, but with its attitude and aptitude for gang violence, it's more like an unhinged water wolf. That gang mentality is how a group can make a jaguar hit the reverse with no key, and it's already bad enough that the roid weasel can grow to 6 feet long without the fact that they'll also roll in a pack. It's an apex predator that eats mostly fish, but they'll also fold crustaceans, anaconda, and even other river otters will adjust their routine to avoid getting run up on by a crazy-eyed cousin. You don't realize what multiple are capable of until you realize how bad they do caiman. Giant river otters will jump a caiman, overwhelming it until its muscles fill with lactic acid and it's virtually paralyzed. It's been said before, but that is an honest erectile dysfunction, and otter mafia will eviscerate the caiman alive, ripping it to pieces while also sounding like if Rugrats took place in purgatory. Imagine not knowing what river otters are and hearing that for the first time. The worst part is, it's been proven the same hunting tactic against a human is tragically effective. Silvio Delmar Hollenbach was a Brazilian army sergeant who had taken his family to the Brasilia Zoo when a bunch of commotion got his attention. A 13-year-old had fallen into one of the moats and now was being threatened by the animals in it. Hollenbach said, "Don't hold me back," and without thinking, leapt into the pool and lifted the injured kid out. Sadly, that meant the focus of the family of vindictive otters was now on Silvio, and the gang of aggressives dragged the struggling Hollenbach into the water and brutally mauled him in front of his family. Silvio would be pulled out, but the over 100 bite wounds in water that was the equivalent of a microbe mosh pit sealed his fate, as he would die of a nasty infection. Hollenbach was mourned and celebrated by everyone, except the boy he saved, who apparently never even mustered a thank you. The same
Say what?
13-year-old that got a man turned into a chew toy would be arrested in 2016 after scamming millions worth of pension money, proving that sometimes being a hero only means saving a villain. Getting mauled and borderline waterboarded by water wolf.
If you get your life saved by somebody that really got hurt saving it, you owe it to them to live a good life. You don't owe it to them to go off and make what they did worthless.
Marines is a horrendous way to go out, but again, the chances you get got by otters is still low, and for Silvio, it probably would have been 0 if those otters didn't just have babies. But the next animal is the mascot of F Around and Find Out.
Okay.
The Cape Buffalo makes no sense.
Yeah, this is the people don't understand. This is one of the top 5 deadliest animals in the world. And people think, "Oh, well, it's a big buffalo." You know what? Not like this thing is aggressive, weighs just it is a no, just no. Imagine a pissed off Honda coming for you.
It's on this list. Until you remember, it's one of the few prey animals that actually hunts predators. The tank, nicknamed Black Death, is arguably the most death-edging animal to hunt because it is a top 5 most vengeful creature on Earth. The common misconception is that the lion's biggest rival is the hyena. That's laughable when a 1,200-pound piss fit can send a big cat backpedaling. The Cape Buffalo is number 7 because cows are dangerous enough, but if Widowmaker tastes death, the rage cow ensures you go down with it. The Cape Buffalo has treed lions for hours, and they'll stalk lion cubs just for the purpose of stomping them out. Now add that the Bush Mafia can pull up in a super herd of over 1,000, now you understand how lions risk going full-time horizontal every time they try them.
Right.
A couple hundred people gored and killed by them a year, this is the first animal here with a respectable body count. The problem is, every year, people hunt them without realizing the buffaloes hunt back. And
What are you mad about?
Because the kitten's over there.
Where? Oh, I see him.
injured buffalo has been known to retreat to tall grass to lure you in and stalk you just to rear end you when your back is turned and keep going until you stop standing. And unlike most
somebody got it,
herbivores that'll straight up watch you get got, or in some cases gift wrap you themselves, Cape Buffalo will spin the block for a predator in an effort 1,000 times John Wick. You know you're dealing with a menace when you're talking about a cow using the honey badger method on a lion, and some people have to be connected to God's Wi-Fi before they understand.
Yeah.
Texas trophy hunter Asher Watkins thought it was sweet until his target attacked him first, completely ambushing him. The spite-fueled beef struck Watkins at 35 miles per hour, tearing his chest and stomach open, and he was declared dead in the ambulance. A tragic death, but definitely not unprovoked. Imagine walking through a corn maze knowing you're one wrong turn away from a buffalo same-day shipping you to the Lord like an afterlife Amazon package.
People don't know. Like, that's the thing. Once again, know what you're going into and don't antagonize the animals. Especially not one that's called the Black Death. Just don't do it. Number 6, let's go.
On several islands throughout Indonesia, you'll find a dinosaur time left behind. The Komodo dragon is one of those predators where once they start hunting you, you're as good as dead. The Komodo is everything scary about coconut crabs, but on that Jurassic juice. Komodos will eat everything, and it's why baby dragons will hide up in the trees or even roll around in feces because the adults are highly cannibalistic. The steroid giga iguana also has the unfortunate habit of unearthing human graves and feeding on the long expired remains.
Right.
The Komodo dragon only has about 12 successful hunts a year, so when one makes you a priority, prepare to spend days tailgated by a murderous monitor lizard. In 2008, 5 scuba divers were caught in a riptide and swept out to sea, and after 12 hours spent drifting the aquatic void, they landed on Rinca Island. where they spent the next 5 days playing cat and mouse with a monster resident dragon that took notice and stalked them, which isn't easy, thanks to another unfortunate habit of theirs. We used to think Komodos were one-shot specialists that only needed to bite you once and then just wait for you to fold to bacterial infection.
Right.
As cold as that would be, it's like LeBron letting you get the ball just to spank it off the backboard. The truth is more disturbing. Komodos don't just let their prey go, but their contingency plan is if you do get away, the glorified gecko can track you by blood, and anticoagulants in their venom keep you bleeding. So now it becomes a broken game of hide and seek, and playing it on an island the size of Philly means there's no point in the area code you can go where the leather bloodhound won't find you. Even worse, the longer you manage to play manhunt with monitors, the more dragons will be there to eviscerate you when you do fall. That blood sense is no joke. Menstruating women are actually advised against visiting for fear that the resident garbage disposals confuse them for a dying animal. There's stories of bleeding tourists lying to their guides to not miss out on the trip, only to be surrounded by dozens of Komodos coming in from all over the island. And if you
Oh my God. Just listen when a local nature expert tells you don't do this. If you don't, just don't do this. And you just turn. Some people are just. Your Instagram selfie isn't going to save you.
think there's no way an animal moving like that can catch you slipping, millions of years of evolution would argue. One incident saw 2 dragons stalking a fruit picker from below a tree, and when Muhammad Anwar fell, the Komodos rushed him and mauled him to death. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Or maybe you haven't heard a baby goat scream from inside of a dragon.
I don't want to know.
That the ocean terrifies me beyond comprehension is an understatement, and the animal that scares me more than any other isn't a shark, isn't an orca, not even a giant squid.
Okay.
Not a squid. Because I'd rather go skinny dipping around great white sharks than ever catch a Humboldt squid in the wild. At only up to 6 feet long, they're not the biggest, but everything about the way they feed fuels my nightmares. When a hunting Humboldt homes in on something, they'll approach it with all 10 appendages extended to grab prey and force it towards its mouth. And not only can that beak slice skin and cut chainmail, they do it so fast that they can grab and retract prey in just one camera frame. Not to mention, they have 2 tentacles with suckers that contain inner teeth. Great for grabbing. But the real reason the Humboldt is number 5 is because the way they would hunt you is straight out of a Stephen King wet dream.
Okay, let's go.
Hunting parties over 1,000 strong, and they're also highly aggressive, speed-eating gluttons that'll strip fish down to the bones before fishermen even have time to reel them up. They're also trigger-happy with the cannibalism, and the moment one of their own shows weakness, it gets jumped and torn to shreds. The problem with Humboldts is they speedrun life so fast, they're never not thinking about food, and if you find yourself in the waters at the wrong time, you can get mauled by a pack of fleshy-armed box cutters. But it's the intelligence that's the biggest problem, because Humboldts aren't always aggro. They can be curious too, and they'll often steal cameras and lights just to take them apart and examine them. The Humboldts can go from 0 to homicide in seconds, and because they communicate by flashing red in a sea of black, once one says go, many more will follow. One diver was approached by a squid who gently started nibbling on him, and the diver, who probably couldn't believe his luck, started filming. And in seconds, the squid started pulsing red, and the man was immediately slammed by multiple as they simultaneously began to pull him into the abyss. He would escape, but he genuinely thought his ticket to Tupac was booked, and
see, this is why I don't want to go in the ocean. This is why I don't want to go in the ocean.
There's many more stories of divers being confronted by squids and nearly dragged to the point of no return, and some even swear they've had Humboldts attempt to rip off their masks and drown them. But going back to the first diver, I think the most disturbing part is the moment he didn't fight back and let himself look easy was the moment he became a green light to a red devil. The last unfortunate fact is that Humboldts will perform diel vertical migrations, where every day they rise from the depths to hunt before eventually going back down. So they're more likely to run into you during goblin mode. Unfortunately for the next animal, goblin mode is their entire life.
Okay.
You've probably heard that there's few animals that actively hunt humans, and that polar bears are one of them.
Right.
To clarify, they don't actively hunt humans, they just passively don't give a follow me now. Polar bears are the largest predators on land, and as big as you think they are, I swear to you they're bigger. The problem starts with the fact that they're the only hyper-carnivore bear. They eat meat, and meat stands for murk every and any time.
Nice.
Can make up 95% of their diet, where in something like a grizzly bear, it can be as low as 10. That would be bad enough, but polar bears also live in a freeze-dried desert where in the winter, they can only live off of feces, foxes, and other fallen polar bears. Polar bears have way less options, and with the sea ice they depend on receding, they can either get creative or get cremated. So they don't actively hunt humans, the same way I don't actively grocery shop for Chips Ahoy, but best...
Hell no, man. No. I don't want to play with that big boy. I don't want to play with it at all. I don't care if it does have Coca-Cola.
Believe if I see them, I'm gonna grab it. That's the polar bear, except they don't have to see you. With the best nose of any predator, a polar bear can smell a seal from miles away. They can detect their breathing hole from another area code and can even clock a seal under a foot of ice. So it's really true, if a polar bear sees you, it's already too late. From 1870 to 2014, there have been only 73 attacks on humans, with 20 census subtractions. But being targeted by the ultimate predator of persistence is a different level of fear. In 2016, 5 Russian scientists were held hostage by over 10 polar bears, who stalked their weather station and forced them to have supplies and flares airdropped by helicopter. In 2019, 50 polar bears invaded the town of Novaya Zemlya and put them in a state of emergency. People were afraid to leave their houses and refused to let their children go to school, and with shooting them being illegal, folks had to bear this reverse Goldilocks situation unarmed. And I mean that literally, with ice bears breaking into residential buildings. Polar bears are a force of nature, and number 4, because once one chooses you, you can't run fast enough or swim far enough to be safe. One swam over 400 miles in just 9 days, so trust that you would not get away. But there's always been something about a carnivorous Q-tip that unsettled me, and I think I figured it out.
Okay.
Polar bears are a lot like the squid, where they're incredibly curious and intelligent, which makes the way they hunt and engage in general seem cold and calculated. You'll often notice in a lot of videos where they approach humans, the polar bears seem quiet and emotionless, and you can almost see them trying to figure it out. And their face expressions and body language tell you nothing. A polar bear pulling up on you can be curious, apathetic, or ready to revoke your presence, and you will not know which. And that's just it.
Oh. I love them. I love polar bears. I love the squids. I love all of them. They're all beautiful, lovely, amazing animals. But just for the love of everything holy, keep them away from me.
They're disturbingly deadpan, and I think that's by design. Most black and brown bear attacks are defensive, meaning they either had cubs around or you managed to catch them off guard, and most times they'll give you many signs that you're effing around in the jurisdiction of finding out. A polar bear doesn't, because oftentimes a polar bear isn't trying to negotiate or communicate. With you, it's trying to eat you while weighing the cost. So what often makes them look cute and innocent is actually them being apathetic, emotionless terminators. Because remember, they don't fear humans the same way their cousins do, and most encounters are on the polar bear's terms. So it's true when they say, if it's black, push back. If it's brown, retire to the ground. And if it's white like a sheep, you finna go to sleep. Color of a beluga, last time talking to you. And white like a picket fence means you wake up past tense. Number 3 and number 2 are both interchangeable. It just depends on which movie scares you more. A gross-out body horror slasher flick or a psychological mental health massacre.
Let's
If
go.
you pick psychological, wait for number 2. And if you pick slasher, well, you probably already know how horrific it is being hunted by chimps. The sick joke is, less than 5% of their diet is meat.
Oh, God, no. Oh, God, no. Oh, God, no. No. I shouldn't have watched this.
Yet in places like Ngogo in Uganda, they can have a success rate of 80%, and it's because the way they hunt is coordinated and calculated. First, you have drivers, and their job is to pressure prey into the trees without actually trying to catch them. The moment you try to climb, you've screwed yourself, because there's also blockers whose job is to limit any possible escape routes and make a literal jungle gym even smaller. So now you gotta avoid them while being chased through the trees by chasers. The last role are the chimps smart enough to anticipate where you'll try to escape and will camp themselves in the perfect spot to snatch you if you pass by. It's painfully effective, and once something like a colobus monkey is caught, it's immediately crippled and eviscerated into several pieces. I genuinely have to be careful with what I show y'all. Just know that monkey's still alive and he gets his arm snapped after all that. Chimpanzees are number 3 because they might have the most brutal ways of past tensing prey, and they don't discriminate. Chimps are on record ambushing families of gorillas, frightening the females and running fades with a silverback, and kidnapping any babies to remove them. They're not the only babies at risk, and viewer discretion is advised.
No.
As habitat loss and food shortages have pushed humans and chimps together, there have been more cases of chimpanzees snatching human children with chilling results. One human toddler was actually, hold on, viewer discretion, I mean it this time.
Yeah.
One human toddler was grabbed by a big male, and in less than a minute, he broke his arm, beat his head in, and even disemboweled the boy and removed his kidneys. Being hunted by chimps is like playing death tag with parkour-capable pack-hunting zombies, but luckily, meat isn't their main food, and attacks are still relatively rare, which is why I have tigers at 2. Tigers don't actively hunt humans, but living on top of each other for centuries is why tigers have the highest human body count of any animal on this list. Folks traditionally wore masks backwards in order to discourage the tiger into thinking he had lost the element of surprise. But it's believed the trick was spammed too hard and now the tigers are catching on. But intelligence is the second scariest thing about them. Number 1 is...
Look at this.
They are the most vengeful animals on the planet. Black Death be damned. Piss off a tiger and you might not live to regret it. You may have heard of the poacher that shot a tiger and stole part of its kill, so the tiger tracked him down all the way to his cabin, destroyed anything that smelled like the poacher, including his mattress, just to John Wick the man when he eventually returned home. Tatiana the tiger proved that you don't have to be in the wild to find out, after she escaped her San Francisco enclosure to track down and savage the men that had taunted her. But by far, the most notorious tiger in history was the Devil of Chumpawat. This was a Bengal tiger who had gotten her canine teeth broken, likely by a human, which meant she could no longer hunt her normal prey. The result was she started stalking humans, and the endgame was the man-eater of Chumpawat destroyed 436 people, eluding poachers and hunting parties, and somehow always knowing when to leave an area and lay low. Tigers are
Look, look at how it's so damn good. It's such a beautiful animal. But please, I don't want to be in the same area code. I don't want to be able to call this person, I don't want to be able to call a person on a phone and not get charged long distance that is around one of these.
Quick and efficient. They take you out and then return back to the shadows. And honestly, I'd probably die of an anxiety attack long before a feline flatline. They don't usually go out of their way, but all the extra exposure around humans has shown us exactly what tigers are capable of. And the worst part is, they could easily be scarier. The reason tigers are orange is because orange isn't a concept to the animals they do prey on. And if we were on that list, this is what the world's biggest whiskered reaper would look like, and it's still not number 1.
Okay.
Orcinus orca is the most oppressive predator on the planet, and at this point, there's not much I can say that you don't already know.
Right.
You know they're intelligent.
Right.
What genuinely surprised me is they take very few risks. If prey has the smallest chance of fighting back, orcas will move the needle to 0 before they move in. Not only that, but their methods change depending on the target. That's why they'll soul slap a stingray before it can sting. That's why they'll immobilize sharks before they can bite. And it's why they'll up smash a seal as high as they go like Super Smash Bros. But they don't neutralize prey just to be safe to eat. They'll turn a dying animal into a life lesson. In that same stingray clip, a family of orcas toyed with the half-alive stingray before letting its body sink into the abyss when they were done. I genuinely believe the stingray was slapped by the orca grandmother, and the rest of the pod was playing with it in order to learn how to deal with one, and when the lesson was over, they had no further use for him. It's not cruelty, it's communal calculation, but it is why orcas are the most fear-inspiring, heart-retiring predators to have, and if you're still not convinced, let me tell you a story that still sticks with me.
Go for it.
One grandmother orca was not only smart enough to memorize when elephant seals in the Falklands would breed, she knew exactly where and what time the tide would be high enough to hold her. This
Look at its little face. This thing doesn't judge you. It likes you just the way you are. Look how cute it is. It's gonna be ugly when it grows up, but look how cute it is. It's such a pretty little thing. War pugs, Baby seals are cute. I like their little faces. But okay, enough of that. He's not wrong about the orcas. If the orcas ever started hunting humans, sharks would look pathetic in comparison.
This 20-foot Type A dolphin basically staked out the nursery pool until the tide got high enough for her to seemingly spawn out of nowhere and abduct a defenseless seal pup, where she then dragged the seal out to sea as a practice dummy. For the next several hours, her family toyed with and tormented the baby seal, with the pup alive for most of it. Again, it's not evil or torture, but it is how orcas polish their prowess.
Right.
But for the seal, that's stranger danger on steroids, and one of the worst ways to go out. Slowly, and with zero hope. And now you see why great whites will piece out of a favorite hunting ground for a calendar year if they have a run-in with an op dolphin. And why humpbacks feel the way they do. We're talking about animals that'll role-play as prey and practice drowning each other before they try it on a baby blue whale. It's not an act of malice more than survival. Simply a skill surplus for them and a skill issue for everyone else. I won't slander them, but I definitely pity their prey more than anything else's. But I gotta come clean. I did lie to you. They're actually not the most oppressive predator on the planet.
Okay.
That would be take away the guns, the technology, and everything else. The very foundation of how humans hunt makes them the most horror movie predators ever.
Yes. Simply put, humans, the way that we used to hunt is called persistence hunting. And we would quite literally run an animal down. Run it completely and totally down. It would take hours. Most animals are simply not built for extended periods of, strenuous physical activity the way that we are. Not even in the slightest. So we would literally run them until their body would start shutting down.
But imagine a predator you can never run away from. You can get ahead. You can even get out of their sight, yet every time you turn to the horizon, they're there. They're not even tired, but you are. You're exhausted, you're thirsty, and about to drop from heat stroke, yet there they are, not missing a beat, barely breaking a sweat. Hell, you can't even sweat, not like them, and it's killing you. You look in the distance, and to your dismay, here they come again. But this time, you don't have the strength to get back up. They're slow, but persistent, like an immortal snail that never stops. They run you into the ground, waste you without even touching you, and come sunrise, they're ready to do it all again. You just won't be there to see it. They're finally here. They literally walk you down knowing you're at your limit. One raises its stick, you close your eyes, you'd breathe your last breath, but they took all you had left, just like they take everything else. Your story's over, but the ending was authored long before you first ran. It's not your fault, it's not evil or a crime, but it is what happens when you meet the scariest predator of all time.
It's very true. A human hunting party would track animals and simply put, over the course of sometimes an hour, sometimes 2 to 2 hours, sometimes all day, would simply run them down. And sometimes not even run them down, just keep them moving, keep them going. And just not let them rest, not let them recuperate. Just keep pressing them onwards. Now granted, if the that film that you saw of the kudu, I think that was a kudu, collapsing, that's what happens to them. That is what happens to these animals that, we used to hunt. We would literally run them to the ground until they could not run no more. And then just a simple matter of finishing the kill. Sweat makes humans overpowered. Flat out. The brains are one thing, but the ability to walk upright, the ability to sweat, the ability to cool ourselves more efficiently, that made us obscenely overpowered. No, we're not stronger. We're not as strong as chimpanzees. We're not as strong as, gorillas. We can't run as fast as gazelles. We don't have any, physical weapons like claws or teeth that are of any caliber that would be a threat to most animals, but we can run them down. That's our superpower. War pugs, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Leave a like or something down there just to help me out with the algorithm, because the algorithm is hating everybody right now. I will catch you guys next time. I hope you have a great day. Join as a member of Patreon for early access. I'll catch you guys later.